Just getting everything set up. I'm watching my Instagram feed, waiting for Instagram to fire up. I believe it is going to go live in just a second here. So hold tight. We'll see if we can't get the streams all going here. All right. I believe we are live on Instagram as well. All right, everybody. I'm Nick Slavik. I am the proprietor of the Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration Company. I am also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. This is a live show that has been going on weekly for over 8 years. We talk about master craftspersonship. We talk about the life of a paint business entrepreneur and self and all that other good stuff. Tonight, I opened it up to people to submit questions, and we got two great ones off the bat. I might have to devote two separate shows to them, but number one is time blocking. We always talk about management and managing yourself, managing your time, goal orientation, things like this. But I really do like time blocking. It's a very simple thing. It's something that very few people do. It's a thing that very few people do well. And I will show you my way that I found some peace and success with all the things that go into time blocking, priority management, and all that other stuff too. So before we get into that though, I'm going to actually show you my calendar. I'm going to show you my journal, the way that I do that, how I lay out 10 years worth of goals plus, and then wind them back down to everything in the middle here. So mindful painting watching on Instagram. How you doing, buddy? Okay, so number one, folks, listen, our residential conference is coming to my home state in Minnesota. It is fall, it is autumn, it is beautiful here. I was actually just at the venue today, the Graduate Hotel that we're going to be hosting this at. I did some recon, I did some content creation, sat at the bar, did some writing for One Page Weekly, met some of the staff there, and it was an absolutely awesome time. I will tell you guys, this Graduate Hotel, the place that we're holding the residential conference, is smack dab in the U of M campus. It is just buzzing with life. It is just so awesome to be down there. So I will tell you this. Later on this month, we're all getting together. There's going to be 100 or so contractors from all over the U.S. coming here, talking specifically about residential stuff, improving our businesses, improving ourselves, and it's going to be awesome. There's a whole bunch of activities and all this other stuff. It's just absolutely amazing. What you're seeing below me right here is an application for a free registration. There's a link in the notes to this show. All you guys do is follow this. You go to this Google form, put down your information, and you're in the running. You have just applied for a free registration for this event. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it might get you a free admission to hang out with your peers for a bunch of days in Minnesota and do all this stuff here. It's absolutely awesome. So, okay, that is the registration form. One Page Weekly, folks. I have a link to the subscription here. It's a new kind of art project that I'm doing. I give myself one page to write about a single word each week. I turn it into audio form. I put some audio, I read it. I put some audio over it, usually from my farm. You can hear the crickets and stuff outside here. I try to make it meaningful. I do a little bit of sound dubbing and things like that. It's a little more produced than what people are normally for. It's 4 to 5 minutes every week. I usually release it on a Friday or a Saturday, and it's there for you guys. It's a new little art project I'm doing, and I will tell you this: lots and lots of direct messages after I drop those things. So evidently it's meaningful to not only me, but to other people too. So link in there to subscribe to that on Spotify. My winter retreat, I will be announcing very shortly, probably after the residential event here, that we're going to be doing the winter retreat with Nick Slavik here. I do 2 of these a year. You guys seen the pictures. It's an absolutely awesome time. It is about 15 of the biggest thought leaders in the industry, people doing interesting things, diverse thoughts, diverse types of business, diverse types of humans, all coming together to sort of challenge each other in the beautiful luxury Northwoods with a private chef and sauna and, cutting a frozen hole in a lake and all of us going in for cold plungers, the real cold plungers, stuff like that. Women in Paint is happening right now down in Florida. It was awesome. They were spared by the hurricane, and they're having a blast down there. I have 2 of my people down there. Absolutely awesome. Let's see here. What else do we have going on? Commercial event. November 12th through 15th in Arizona. If you're a commercial painter, there's going to be some heavy hitters down there in Arizona. I would urge you to be there. I'm actually going to be for this one too. We're having an in-person board of directors meeting at this time as well. Gathering of Minnesota Painters, 6th December. And of course, our PCA Expo, which I was just at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. the amount of history and stuff is absolutely amazing there. So, all right, I think I might hit a quick question here. Do, 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 do. Oh, here we go. I got this. We got one question from, Daryl Bauer. All right, here we go. Hold tight. Let me get rid of this. Instagram, Daryl Bauer, friend of mine. There are some contractors that don't return calls or callbacks. When called to the carpet, they don't care. What does Nick Slavik do? Number one, interestingly enough, competitive advantages in the contracting world. Daryl, you know this as a business person. We all buy the same paint. We all wear the same pants. We all buy the same brushes. I don't have a secret paint. I don't think I even have a secret technique, but we do. Our competitive advantage in the painting side is a whole bunch of very simple things with very good materials done consistently over time. And then there's a support team and people to hold people accountable. What we do as far as you're talking about the calls, contractors not answering their phone, contractors getting a call back on a job and not answering their phone because they don't want to either go back for free or have that tense conversation, awkward conversation with a client. So number one, number two, our main competitive advantage is outside of the painting part. We do exceptional painting, more exceptional than most. But what really sets us apart is that service part, which is when we look at the deeply true and unique competitive advantages that this company has. Led by me, it's an ethos and a culture that goes through all the entire company. Is we are likely the most accountable contractor that anybody will ever work for. Clients, employees, contractors, things like that. We have a very rigorous, high velocity professional communication system. If anything, clients will say, "We get it. We're on your schedule and you're giving us updates. We're fine. You can just wait a couple days and update us again." We over communicate in most cases. And after that, we are accountable. Less than 5% of all of my jobs have some sort of callback. It could be a screwdriver left on site. It could be a drip of paint on a concrete apron of a garage outside somewhere. And nobody, no home service contractor, I can guarantee you this, that anybody will ever call to talk about something like that is going to respond faster, take more ownership, and do something about it quicker than we will. That is truly a unique competitive advantage because I don't see it as a sign of failure. Number one, we want to eliminate those things. Number two, I know nobody's perfect. So we go into this knowing that there's so many variables in what we do: the humans, the weather, the houses, the clients, the process, the coatings. And we're taking a variable product to a variable human over and over and over again under variable settings. And what I do know is that you cannot be perfect with that. If you try to be perfect, you will end up working alone and being sad the rest of your life because that's not how humanity works. So we are accountable. So we just have a system. We don't get bummed out when that happens. We take ownership of it. We profusely apologize and we make it right as quickly as we can. And turns out that's a great strategy. I know that, Daryl, you've been doing business in our adjacent to our sector for a long time, and you know that the faster you take ownership, the faster you make it right for the clients, the better it is. So yeah. All right. Oh, Mr. Hamilton saying loving the one page weekly. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that very much. All right, everybody, really quickly, if you would, we're going to get into time blocking, but if you would share this to your story, share this to your feed. If you're on Facebook, I would deeply appreciate that. Share this to all of your painting groups, the gathering groups, painting contractors, paint ed, all that other stuff. So, all right. Long Box Cummins 3,500. What's the best way to find good full-time employees that will stay with me and help my company grow? That has more to do with you than it does with them. And also, if you want somebody to help you grow, you're going to have to incentivize them. If you want to run a business and provide opportunities for others, and a byproduct of that is growing, that is perfectly fine. But if you think you're going to hire some people, be an unprofessionalized company, no job descriptions, no pay scales, no review process, no one-on-one meetings, no sort of reporting process, no support system, no standard operating procedures, all this other stuff, it's going to be very hard and they are going to leave. And they're certainly not going to then take the next additional steps and help your company grow. So I will tell you this, long box coming 3,500 from Instagram. The short way around to this is there is years and years and years of boring, unsexy, maybe even mundane things that you need to do to get your business in a place where people will not only be attracted to it, a certain type of person, but then there's a support system when they get there where you can actually give them opportunities they can't find elsewhere. And I truly believe that at its core, when you think about technicians or entry level employees, if you're thinking about technicians coming in, if you're a plumbing company, you want a bunch of plumbers to come in. I believe there are three main things that will give you the biggest chance for them to stay around long enough so they can learn more so you can professionalize your company, which is a very high rate of pay, lots of people to work with that they like, and no stress or low stress. And if you can do those three things, you're going to buy the most time with a human. Then you have to start providing opportunities over that. So, okay, let us start. Happy to take more questions from Instagram. Happy to take more questions from Facebook as well too. But we are going to get into some time blocking stuff here. So, okay, number one. Time blocking, what is it? It's intentionally segmenting out portions of your days, weeks, months, and years to get some things done. Now, typically the first reaction is, great, I'm going to go to Google, which Google Calendar. This is literally my day and week right now. And you can say, okay, I'm going to block out an hour to do this. Then what happens? You get a call from the field. You get a call from a project manager, an estimator. You got to go solve something. You got to work with them on something. You want to be supportive to your people, right? And then that hour goes away and you don't really get to that thing that you were going to do. And then all of a sudden, well, we'll just try tomorrow. And then things don't get done. So I'm going to show you some examples of what I do here that help me organize my thoughts. I am not perfect at this. I'm not world class. I also didn't come up with anything novel here. I think I combined some things interestingly to kind of fit with my personality and my business. And believe you me, I've done experiments. I've tried lots of things. I've tried all the task apps. I've tried everything else. So I've actually found a system that's a little bit manual, a little bit techy, and I combine them together. And I've actually been the most consistent, most productive I've been in probably my 17-year professional business owner sort of life here. So number one, let's first talk about, by the time it gets to your calendar, it needs to come from somewhere. And if you guys have ever heard me talk about anything before, what you know is that you look out 5, 10, 20, 30 years in the future, figure out what your possible goal is, and then you start working backwards. And for any of you people who are traction people, that the EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, the book Traction, helps you start with the end in mind and then work backward to, what do I need to do today in order to get that done? And I'm going to show you my method here. And this was something given to me by my friend Jason Paris. It's called the Arrow document. And basically what I do is I figure out what areas of my life are important. First of all, there are 8 areas of my life that I think that are important, at least important to me right now. And then what you do, you start thinking about, what are your passions? What is your purpose? What do you want later on in life? And you start building it back from long term. You go to medium term, which is maybe like a year. You go to short term, which I would consider a quarter. And what you're seeing here on the page is the 8 areas of my life. And the goals, the things that I want to accomplish, everything down to about the week. Here's my week's goals. So on Monday morning, what you're seeing here is there is one column right here. I'll highlight it right there. Highlight, yeah, there. We'll go down and we'll do this. So that is 1 week worth of goals right there. And here's the one. I'll put my cursor on here so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas of life that are important to me. And I have some well thought out goals. I have accountability partners. I have performance coaches to do some things with me like this. And then every Monday morning, I sit here and I look at all those goals and I say, here's the things that I said I was going to do this week. Right? So now it takes this whole big, long, well thought out, very intentional thing. It breaks it down into a quarter. This quarter, this is what I want to accomplish. I have 13 weeks in this quarter. I'm going to write down what I want to do each week. The next thing I do is I go to this. My little book. You've probably seen this in my Friday morning work from home sort of thing. What's really interesting is that I've tried a lot of task apps. I've tried a lot of all the, AI and infused sort of things that will keep you on task and things like that. And honestly, what I've actually found out is my Monday morning routine of looking at my intentional goals. And then I write this kind of master to-do list right here. Because on this sheet down below that you're looking at, it does not say redo your website. It could, but it doesn't for me. It just has some general business goals about gross profit, net profit, revenue, things like that, supporting my people with one-on-one meetings and stuff. I actually go down to the micro tactical on this notebook. And so every Monday morning, I do my ideation walk. I sit here, I have a cup of coffee, I read all the goals for the week. It kind of centers me. It reminds me what I'm accomplishing each week. And then I write out my to-do list every time. And this to-do list doesn't go away. If you'll see all my previous weeks, guess what? Lots of stuff in there. But you also see some things that are crossed out. So this is like my brainstorming of some major things. There's a uniform order. I need to sell my estimator's Dodge Journey and things like that. I need to get some suits hemmed. I need to call this commercial contractor back about a project. All this stuff like that, short to tactical to sort of medium goals here. And then what I do is I pick 3 to 5 things and I write them over here and say, listen, of all the things on this sheet, my 10-year goals, of all the things that I need to do in the coming probably quarter right here, I'm going to focus on these 3 right here. And then that day, I try to accomplish as many of those as I can possibly. And so besides this filtering of very long-term goals down to medium goals down to this, it's very easy for people like me and for people like most of you watching to completely beat yourself up if you don't cross off everything on your to-do list, right? So there has to be a mindset and an attitude that comes along with time blocking, right? Now we'll go into this first. The attitude with this stuff is your to-do list is never going to go away, ever. It hasn't for me. It's 17 years. I'm a very productive person. I'm very intentional. I cross off a lot of things on my list. Guess what? I've made my list shorter. The things I do are more impactful, but it never goes away. I'm never going to have a book like that has nothing written on it for me to do that day. It's not going to exist because as a visionary, I find things to do. So the mindset and the attitude about something like this is, when I started this process years and years ago of trying to figure out a way to keep myself on task and move towards these goals in a meaningful way, I beat myself up that I didn't cross everything off the list. Even if I put 3 things and only accomplished 2, I beat myself up. I got all day and I couldn't do those things. I should be working evenings and weekends. Turns out people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. And you have to completely shift your attitude and your mindset when you're in a position like me and like many of you entrepreneurs out there, where you have to be okay with just chipping away consistently over time. I believe that these to-do lists and time blocking are way less effective when you take a week off, knock out a whole bunch of stuff, and then go back to not doing it. I believe we are so much more effective when you pick 3 to 5 things a day, knock out 2 to 4, be happy with that, and then knock out 2 to 4 the next day, 2 to 4, 2 to 4. Because in the course of a 261-day work year like that, if you accomplish 3 things a day, that's 780, 790 things you have accomplished in the course of a year. That's a huge thing, right? One of them might be write an SOP. One of them might be gather production rates. Imagine if you could wave the magic wand right now and accomplish 750 to-do list items just like that. You'd be like, oh my God, this is the most productive thing I've ever seen. That's superhuman. Except when you break it down to an actual hour or days or weeks task, 3 things a day, 3 things a day out of the 5 you intended to do, right? That's what's most important about here. So now when we think about this, we have our arrow list down here, which kind of guides you, says, okay, this is the direction we're moving in. These are the things that are important to me. These are the sort of like superordinate things I'm working on. Tactically, I'm going to carry this around in the week. This gets folded up. This gets put in my leather bag and I carry this around. I always have a pen in it. I always have my pages and it's always organized. This is 1 week. This is my kind of thought list, my to-do things over here. I put my 3 to 5. I start scratching them off as we go. And a little weekly update for this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 things I've got done in 4 days. That was a very productive week. You may look at this and say, oh, it's just a couple things scratched off. 15 things. 15 things. One of them is send a 3-page revision document to my web guy about changes I want on the website for the upcoming re-strategy of the website, right? These can be small, these can be big, but this is what I carry around. And I found out that there's something beautiful and tactile and simple of writing 3 to 5 things down And when I open this up, if I have a free hour during the day, or I have that hour where I need to do commercial marketing, I open this up and say, oh, that's the next task. Done. Set it down. Do that task. When that task is done, I open that back up and go to that. Now, how does this translate into something to actually keep you on task? Because this is not a calendar. Either is this. This is a general direction. So here's actually how we do it then. And everybody knows and loves the Google Calendar, things like that. Aaron Steininger, my good friend, says, how do you eat an elephant? It's exactly that. 3 to 5 a day, every day for the rest of your life. This is actually my Google Calendar from this week. So what you'll see is it looks chaotic like most people's, but there is a color-coded system to all this stuff, which is for time and eternal. For the 15 years I've been using Google, orange has been unconfirmed things. Purple has been confirmed. This kind of peach, pink down here is all family stuff. The yellow things on here are just like stalwarts. This is my morning routine. This is lunch. This is my afternoon snack. This is supper in the evening. This is check the job costing. This is my weekly update on my Slack message, things like that. They're things that never change, and they're just like, meals and painting company stuff like that. What you'll see on here is there is morning routine. That's my thing where I sit down with my project managers and we go through all the time punches every day. We make a shop plan. We support our people, answer any questions, then move on with the day. It sets it up for the most beautiful time ever. Then I have on Mondays, I have some one-on-one meetings. Well, I turn in payroll. Monday morning there, right after we're done, because we verified all the time cards. I actually post lead times to my company. So we get in the leadership team thing, and I actually say for interior projects, we're this, for exterior projects, we're that, and post some lead times out there for my people. On Monday mornings, I have one-on-ones with my 2 estimators because they're in the office there, and typically they're out, and I want to be there with them. Either Monday or Thursday, we have leadership team lunch. So the entire leadership team gets together and we just build some culture together there. Let's see. We had a subcontractor meeting. I had a site visit in town to help out with a project plan. We had a meeting with a subcontractor. We had a meeting with a W-2 in-person interviews. And so you can see through my days. Now, of the 8 areas that are important in my life, what you're going to find here is there's the physical part like that. The physical part of keeping myself healthy enough so I can make great decisions and be there for my people as a leader. What you'll find on here is these gray things right here you can see, there's my arrow dock every morning, looking at that arrow dock, doing my ideation. And then I do my ideation walk right after that. That's to keep my mind and my body as fit as I can make it with the time allowed right now. So then you step down into the mental health part of everything. So what you'll find are different performance coaching things. There is one form of performance coaching. Let's see, there is another, and here is another one right there. So I have some business, I have some personal, I have all this other stuff. If I say physical is important to me, show me on your calendar where you're doing something for it. If your mental health and your state, you want to be sharp as a tack, you want to have your mental priorities there, and you want to be there for your people and your family, show me on your calendar when you're actually doing something for it. And those 3 meetings never change for me every week. Those ideation, that 30-minute ideation in the morning doesn't change. That walk 4 days a week for 30 minutes where I ideate about stuff doesn't change at all. Next thing on the list is my relationships, especially with my wife and my kids. And those things are on there too. So you see all these little pink things, peach things down here. That is all family time. At 5 o'clock, you can see this. I have supper on there. That's very intentional. It's a very upper Midwest word for dinner. It's supper. I come home, I have supper, and then you'll see nothing except Ask a Painter right down here, which is what we're doing. There's nothing on there but Ask a Painter for the rest of the evenings. And you'll see on the weekends, this is Saturday and Sunday. Pheasant opener, by the way. Me and Sig can't wait. My other little dog, Lenny, is in hunting college right now. But every evening after 5, Saturday and Sunday, that is family time. It is completely left open. We have a soccer practice Friday night. We have a Trojan football game, the high school football game with my kids. One of my daughters has a piano lesson Saturday morning, but it's all open all the time for kids, give or take. So again, if your family and your kids are important, show me on your calendar where you're blocking out time for your kids if you believe that's important. Friends, I have friend time blocked out too. On my Friday, I have some meetings with the friends, and I have random calls scheduled throughout the day, throughout the week, and throughout the month to check in with people. I have one bi-weekly. I have one where every Monday we do spreadsheet stuff. And on Fridays, we get together with another cohort of friends. So again, if friendships are a thing that's important to you, where's it on your calendar? What are you going to do it? Because there will always be something to react to. So, okay, we have one of my favorite ones, the estate. What is the plan for this? We eventually want to build our forever house. We eventually want to do some more investments, real estate investments as a family. So, what you're seeing here, all these little red crossed out things, that is a week by week plan of how much money that I am going to put away this entire year in order to save up for certain investments in my future here. So, again, if your future retirement, if all of your estate and everything is important to you, show me on your calendar what you're doing and how you're building towards that thing. Then we have friends. Oh yeah, sorry, we have friends there too. We have my business, my work. I have specific plans for that as well too, and that's just caked into my schedule. That's just always there. And then there's volunteer. So again, being part of my community, getting in touch with young entrepreneurs. Um, go back here. Getting in touch with young entrepreneurs, people who want to get out there and do interesting things in the business world. If that's important to you, show me where it's at. And the coolest thing is I spoke to the business class, the Mars class at my local high school there. Also, this Friday, I am the keynote speaker at my high school for hundreds and hundreds of kids who are coming in for a career exploration day, getting up on the auditorium, speaking to them as a whole. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So again, if being part of your community, connecting with young entrepreneurs is important to you, show me on your calendar what you're doing to move towards that goal. And I can prove to people this is a system where we think about 10, 20, 30 years down the road. We think about down to the year, down to the quarter. We start working on the tactical week. And then day by day, I have a Google Calendar so I can quick reference the Google Calendar to say, where do you need to be next? And then when I'm there or when I have a time blocked out, like you can see here, I have website update right there. That's a very important thing between now and the end of the year. I have an hour blocked out every single week. Commercial marketing, I have an hour blocked out every single week. And I have all my associated documents with this. So it's already there, right? You can just quick reference it all. We have Ask a Painter Live vision and re-strategy. More coming on that in November. Lots to talk about with there. Yeah, so basically I have these things scheduled out in my calendar all week long, and they are reoccurring and they are every week. And that's how I keep myself on task. And what this is not, 1 hour a week, 1 hour is not enough for a complete website update. But if you block out an hour a week for 13 weeks of the quarter, that's 13 hours you've devoted week by week, task by task. And within that, there's an actual spreadsheet that you can look to, and it'll tell you what are this week's tasks and things like that. So Steve Lockwood, when do you input the items for the schedule? So here's the deal. If you look at this, I'm usually scheduled about 2 weeks out. You can see it gets 2 weeks out and it gets a little thin out there because I leave spots for appointments. So what you're going to see here is, oh, there's gun season. Okay. So here's a skeleton week like this. I have my accountability, I have my coaching, I have committee meetings, I have friend stuff, I have lunches, I have my purple time blocks for the things that are important that I'm working on. I have my suppers, I have my snacks, I have my lunch, I have my ideation and my fitness there, my one-on-ones, my leadership team lunch. Another general strategy I have is when you take a look back from the actual time blocking, I usually use the mornings for supporting my team, knocking out some of my big to-do list items, having lunch, resetting my my head mentally, and then being open for appointments in the afternoon. The appointments are going to kill you with time blocking, right? So there will be a thing where you set aside an hour for redoing your website, and then a designer is going to want to meet with you. They can only meet during that hour, and you can say, listen, I appreciate that, but I have to do that. If I missed that week, I would have gone 2 weeks without moving myself closer to that goal. And although I want to form a relationship with you, this is part of my weekly and quarterly goal to get this website revision done. And if I don't do this 1 hour this week, I'm not moving myself closer to it. So respectfully, we're going to have to find another time. And everybody's pretty understanding about all that stuff. So that's when you got to think about these things a little bit meta, where morning is for supporting your team, knocking out your stuff. Lunch is a great reset for me. I now come home and actually take a lunch break. I cook myself some sort of wild forest meat. I reset, I think about stuff, I look at my trusty to-do list, and then I typically go out on some appointments in the afternoon or go back in interviews and all that other stuff. So that's typically how I structure my day there. The goal of all this is to put some parameters on your time and be intentional, right? If you just say, hey, Wednesday, I'm just going to work on my website all day, you're not going to do that for 8 hours, right? Block off intentional time. You will use your time much more wisely. And then every time you have this crazy idea of looking something up so you don't go down a rabbit hole, put it here so you can reference it next week. So I hope that helps out everybody. I don't think we're going to get to the relationship part of this thing. That's a completely other show. I can go into that. But what we're going to do with today's show is that time blocking portion. And for those of you who want a great exercise, I'm going to share with you Eisenhower matrix. So here's the deal. What I just described to you, takes a lot of self accountability. I cannot, to just do this is very hard. I don't do this alone. I have people help. You saw my calendar of accountability meetings, performance coaching, all this other stuff. There are about 4 times a week where people hold me to these things. They give me homework. We check myself. Hey, Nick, you blocked out time for that. Is that actually moving you closer to your goal or not? It's a big thing. This is called the Eisenhower matrix, made famous by Dwight Eisenhower. It helps you center your mind, think about your tasks, and then prioritize them. If I'm being honest, this is tough to do alone. You really need people to call you on your BS. So in these squares, the general idea here is you have important things and you have unimportant things. You have urgent things and not urgent things. And the general idea, is the farther you slide this way, see my little cursor walking down there, things that are not urgent and not important, guess what? You can just not do them. That's absolutely fine. They're not urgent. They're not important. They're not urgent, but they're important. Well, then you decide, schedule a time for it. Website revision. It's important. It's not urgent. We're not going to live and die by that. We have a great website right now. There's things that are not important, but very urgent. Who can do that for you? They're not important, but very urgent. Job costing. I have my coordinator do that. It's very important to my company, but it's not urgent. There's more other urgent things for me. The things that are urgent and important, I do now. And that's basically how I whittle this all down. What you're looking at, what I showed you today between the Arrow document, my journal, and my Google Calendar, we start down here and we filter it down to here. And the thing that I find myself doing at the very moment, I always say, is it important and urgent? Yeah, generally it is. There's some things that are important and not urgent that you do in there too, but generally they're important and they are urgent. Now, the most important thing is having somebody that you can walk through this with, because you are going to put everything as important and urgent, and somebody else is going to say, that's not important or urgent. And you're going to have to justify it. And that's where having accountability partners and things are very helpful with this. So if you want a good place to start, this is very simple. It's a 1-page thing. You can find templates of these with open boxes, and you can just start writing your stuff all over here. Have somebody check it for you. Have somebody take a look at it. It's going to really help you out and call you on your BS like that. So yeah. All right. Well, folks, I think we have come to the end of it. General idea for time blocking is start way off into the future. Have somebody help you with all this stuff. Have somebody figure out your passion, right? Have somebody figure out your purpose. Start thinking about some large goals. Start thinking about the areas of life that are important to you, and then make goals in all those things. It doesn't have to be some elaborate spreadsheet. You can just say, my kids are important to me, and sometime this week, I'm going to do this one thing. And instead of, sometimes us entrepreneurs think, I'm going to block out 2 hours a day and I'm going to be intentional. And every 15 minutes, I'm going to go from Legos to trampoline to baseball to throwing things with my dog and things. You are going to put so much on your plate that you're never going to do it. You're allowing perfect to get in the way of really good. Again, imagine you will always overestimate what you can do in a week, and you will underestimate what you can do in a year. Chip away. 3 things a day, 2 things a day, even if it's 1 a day. 1 a day is a lot. 261 things a day if you only do working days, right? And be happy with it. Put yourself in a mindset where you're going to just chop, 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 chop. You have a superordinate goal. You're doing very important work. The people who are most successful with this can keep themselves consistent and moving towards a goal, even when they're not seeing an immediate gratification, trusting the system and knowing that they're moving towards that. So Andy Hall, how you doing, man? Still using your Google Calendar techniques every day with my business and personal life. That's what I like to hear. So we all pass on knowledge to one another, seeing a lot of familiar names and stuff in here. Absolutely love this stuff. Thank you guys very much for watching. Remember, we have a link in the show notes. If you want to come to the residential forum for free, potentially the residential conference in Minnesota for free. You can apply with a link in the show post in the show notes here. It'll take you to this Google form. You can apply, and the PCA will be looking at those. And I hope to see a lot of people there. Like I said, I was just at the Graduate Hotel today doing a little recon. It is unbelievable. And I've been treated to some very unique experiences recently between Broadmoor and that. And Jill and Jessica, our people in charge of this, are putting together some of the most fantastic events we've ever had. So I will urge you guys to get out there and do this, right? We're entering into an area where running a business is not going to be as easy as it was before for many reasons. I'm not going to get into the show here today, but having those around you, asking for help, thinking about your purpose and your passion, your superordinate goals, backing it down in today is going to become so much more important all the time. So thank you guys for watching. Share this show to your timeline, share it to your story, put it in the painter groups. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great evening